Well, hello, traveler. I see you've wandered off into the alfalfa again. That's how you found your way here to me. But before you enter this space, let me just clear a little bit of that energy from the holy groil, from your auric field there. It seems to have cast a little bit of a film over your usual radiance. You know, the holy groil, the grit, grime, and the oil from being under the machine for too long. Maybe you want to ride forward in a new sort of way. Magic carpet ride, perhaps? You like to dream? I like to dream. Yes, yes, right between the sound machine, on a cloud of sound, I drift in the night. Any place it goes is right. Goes far, flies near, to the stars away from here. Why don't you tell me your dreams? You know, fantasy will set you free. It's time for a little magic carpet ride as we enter this energy of the new moon. The new moon in Capricorn, it's arriving on the scene at 28 degrees, coming in with the energy signature of the Wheel of Fortune. Also, a bit of the magician at play, ready to raise that wand and take an action. Take an action not guided forward by logical means, but plucking a little brilliance out of the sea of absurdity. A little bit of treasure to be found coming in this particular lunar cycle through signposts and synchronicities, especially those that come from up above. Perhaps when wandering off into the alfalfa, a large aviary is a Sabian symbol associated with 28 degrees Capricorn. And so it lets us know that there's messages coming in. It's letting us know that we're about to take flight. It's letting us know that it might be time to break free of a particular aviary and gain a little more elevation here. A little broader of a vista. We're tired of being hemmed in, tired of being under the machine. And we're trying to figure out how to get over it. But the only way to really get over it is to take a different kind of flight. And that flight may come more in the mind. It may come from a certain kind of sight. Being able to just notice certain patterns, signposts, synchronicities, guideposts along the path as you make your way on the road to this quest for the Stargate. Ultimately, that's where it's leading us. There's a checkpoint that comes in with the Leo full moon on the 1st. Right now, we're really trying to clear ourselves from that holy groil. You know, can be a little bit of a cantankerous character. Gets us fussing with situations that really just get us all mired in machinations instead of getting over it and getting on with it. And I think you're about to do just that. The communication that's coming in during this particular lunar cycle that will lead up to that Leo full moon on the 1st of February is more abstract. It's metaphorical. It's archetypal. So, of course, we're going to consult the sacred annals of ARCANE BS so we can understand how this energy is communicating to us. And when I say us, I don't mean you and me and all of these points of distinction of this and that, but I mean us, the collective, the hive mind. And it's really going to be buzzing as we enter into this particular portal. And yes, you may have recognized those words that I spoke. Those words are from a song that's connected to the means of expansion, what can help us gain that flight and move into that more lofty territory as we travel through this energy of 28 degrees Capricorn. And that is 2 degrees Cancer. So see, the priestess is awakening. The priestess is awakening from her time in the underworld. She's surfacing now to move into action, bringing forward the quality of the magician. It's when the receptive and the integration point and all that has been nurtured very quietly in the dark is ready to break ground. And actually, in a rather bold way, we have Neptune in Aries. So this is when we really can dream. We can dream, and we can dream real big, and we can actually live that dream. We can have what it takes to call that dream into being. We hold that kind of transformational fire right now. It also can bring its fair share of problematic territory too. There can be distortions. There can be funhouse mirrors that provide interesting reflections that may not be quite accurate, but may reveal something nonetheless. There can be something revealed in inaccuracies as well. And so this is when it's really going to behoove you to be able to embrace like a different kind of perspective. A perspective that doesn't need to define things so rigidly, doesn't need to make judgment calls about something before you really see what it has to offer. And it's an invitation to go for a ride. Go for a ride just like Steppenwolf talked about in that song, Magic Carpet Ride. The Sabian symbol for that 2 degrees means of expansion in the sign of Cancer is, in fact, a man on a magic carpet hovering over a large area of land. Now, I think that's a very interesting distinction because it's not time. It's not time to be, heading down the highway just yet looking for adventure. The truth is, you were born to be wild, and that's why we're on this hunt. We're on this hunt to recover the feral nature. We're on this hunt to discover the wild, overgrown places. We're here on this hunt to find where the wild things are. And when we find where the wild things are, that's when we wake up to our own instinctual nature and we become the pathfinder. But there's a little facilitation coming in here from the Lord of the Wild Wood, who always acts as an intermediary between the goings-on of the forest and the animals, and of course, the humans that are brave enough to enter these wild, untamable places, those who have not lost their feral nature. And so there will be a lot of communication that is coming in during this cycle, a lot of communication coming in from high places. Look for birds to come in as messengers. Notice the birds. Notice how they fly, the flock, what pattern, how many in the flock, what direction are they heading. The airwaves will continue to be quite active, and their reach is going to extend a little further into deep space than it has before. We know with the last lunar cycle that we were moving through, we were really feeling the march of time. Old man Saturn was really making us aware of our mortality, and we were kind of staring off into deep space. And if you stared there long enough, you likely found a key, and you've already plucked that key from that seeming void, that void that's actually teeming with a wealth of creative energy. And you're getting ready to put it in the ignition and get this ride on the road. but you're not traveling in the usual way. You're traveling above it all. You don't need to go through all the congestion of the traffic. You don't need to deal with any of the road rage as you get where you need to go. You just need to take a different kind of ride. And before you take that ride, before you chart that course, it's good to pan out, get a little elevation, hang out here. Hang out here on the treetops. You spent enough time with the roots. Now it's time to bring it up into the branches. Nest there at the top of the tree a bit. Maybe converse with the eagle that is Owen, who knows the unknowable, who's peered into the great mystery. Ask if you can borrow that sight for a little bit. Do be wise, though, if you ask to borrow that sight. There may be a sacrifice required. But you know, anything that is lost from staring into the mystery and plucking a diamond out of that void, I'd say it's an equal trade. So it's all about how you look at it. Did come in with 11 on the clock, point of alignment. I think you're peering into a little bit of a mystery through getting a different view, getting a bird's eye view of a situation, and just allowing yourself to consider, which way do you want to go? Do you really know? The wind will have some say in this. Messages that come on the winds of change, they're blowing through your life. But you do have this opportunity in this moment of stillness before those winds really start to roar, where you can kind of get a lay of the land. Pan out. Are you sure you want to go the direction you're heading in, or are you willing to get a little bit different of a view? Remember, Madam Rufflebonnet, fantasy will set you free. Listen up a little bit. Get a little loosey-goosey with it before you cut off what is the source of your elevation, your liberation, your freedom. And admit it, Madam Rufflebonnet. The reality is, the reason why you're micromanaging everybody else is because you so want to embody the same sort of freedom and devil-may-care attitude that they do. I think you got it in you. I think you got it in you. I really do. I know you want to rise with this energy, not keep it mired in the minutiae. We knew Madam Rufflebonnet had to arrive on the scene. She's always minding the P's and Q's and the A, B, C, D's, E, F, G's. But that's okay. It's okay. We all find our way into that alfalfa in time. It takes some a little longer than others. They have more side quests, more things to toil through. They have more work to do with the Holy Grail. And there's a purpose to the Holy Grail. There is. It is a refining process all its own, though it may be a little messy and a little slippery at times. And it gets a little difficult being on the side of viewing the undercarriage rather than, going for that ride. But it serves a purpose too. Okay? So this is a really cool energy. And this energy is about getting a different kind of perspective. And it's about adopting a different sort of vision. A vision that can understand symbolism, metaphor, lore, storytelling, oral tradition, the way we used to share wisdom, the way we used to share medicine, the way we used to share magic with each other. Oh yes, it's ready for a revival. Now that's something we can get on board with. We can be wide open for that. We're tired of dealing with everything that just makes us want to recoil and contract and shut down. We're ready to open up to something here. And I see there is a little bit of that miraculous chalice that wants to draw down here. There's something that's coming in here. If you pay attention, you're going to spot it. There's something coming in here that is the beginning of everything that is going to fill you. Everything that is going to fill you in the brim. Ooh, in the brim. Fill you in the brim. Makes me think of the brim of a hat. Fill you in the brim. It's going to come from above to within. Yeah, so it's almost like a power wash for the consciousness. That's how it's coming through. And then there's like this entirely new view. But see, there's only one way you can go for this magic carpet ride. There's only one way that you can really receive so much of the magic and the mystery and everything that is wild and free, as well as coordinates to how to find where the wild things are. That requires us to completely relinquish control. And I think that that can be a little bit challenging. Certainly would be challenging for Madame Rufflebonnet. It's challenging to feel like you're letting go of some power. But actually, this is how the fertility rises. And there can be that impregnation of the new world. We kind of have to get out of the way. You see, if you notice in this card with the uterus with feet here, there's the hint of the miraculous chalice right there. There's something that does want to come through here to pour into our reality, to nurture a different kind of vision, something that has all the makings of our grandest dream and quite an adventure that's opening up before us. It brings us back in touch with our creative power. It moves us out of the position of being a pawn and actually in a state of really understanding that we get to call the shots this go around. Each of us, we're each holding a piece of it. But where we're going to run into trouble is where there's too much desire to control outcomes. See, there's always a caveat. The caveat is you get to call the shots when it comes to you. When it comes to you. What you want to do, how you want to live your life. What inspires you. What you love, who you love. What you want to explore, what you're hungry for, what you desire. And there is something coming in at this time. It's not so much about what you need. Forget you can't always get what you want. You get what you need. No, what do you want? What do you want? See, because want comes from a place of choice. You want something because if it were up to you, if there was nothing in your way, well, that's what you would choose. And need, well, need is a bit of the Holy Grail. But I think we're kind of in this place, especially with this Neptunian energy at the forefront and with it being in Aries ready to blaze a trail. I think we're really in this place where we're like, no, it's time to get the motor running. We're born to be wild. We're not here to toil and labor through something so mundane. Mundane. We were told this is what it meant to advance. This is what we were told success looks like. To have all the things. But you can have all the things and you can have all the money in the world and you can have all the trappings and you can completely lose your wild nature. And so many people don't understand the wealth that is. Because they're called trappings for a reason. They do weigh you down. They don't allow you to travel light. And this is something that it often takes people a long time before they see this clearly. Sometimes it takes until the end of their life when they look back and they think, wow, I had all that stuff, man. And I thought it was really something, but the only thing it really was something that anchored me down. Something that weighed me down. Something that ultimately ended up being a burden. Because it didn't let me just sort of like pick up. Go for a magic carpet ride. free of all the trappings, free of all the things that they said would be my kingdom, a kingdom that is coming crashing down. The world's changing. And as the world changes, the collective consciousness shifts. What's desired becomes something much different than what's needed. We've largely compromised with what we've been told we need. This is what you need. This will do. And yet we have a different desire coming on through here to not be on the undercarriage anymore. We're tired of being knee deep in the Holy Grail. We're tired of dealing with all the grit, the grime, and the oil. We want to know, what is the work for? And so what we're really taking on board is the great work. We're moving more into this state of fantasy. Fantasy. And they'll tell you that it's childish to fantasize, to dream. But they say that because it's very dangerous if you do so. It totally disrupts the programming. If you dare to dream, if you're willing to look at things in a creative way, if you are lit up in such a way that you aspire for more. You aspire for more. So this is the kind of communication coming in for you. You're preparing to get ready to rise, just as King Fancy is preparing to understand what it means to be on the undercarriage of what was built on the backs of others. There's a lot colliding at this time. There's cycles coming to a close. And even as we are heading into the funeral parlor, we're at the same time finding ourselves at the doorway to the delivery room on the other side. It's powerful stuff. It's powerful stuff, but it's teeming with creativity. But there's one guideline to go along for this ride, and that's you gotta relinquish control. You gotta let go. It really serves us at this time to embrace more of a state of openness, as open as we can be. And it's more of a sort of absurd openness because we're in a very polarized climate at the same time. But there's a way you can be open to the polarization in the way that it contrasts. And what do you find where those points of contrast actually blend together? You know, it's sort of like when you're painting, you know, first you bring a stroke of color onto the canvas and it can look really bold and really defined, but you add, you know, some more colors in there. You know, you put a stroke of black and then you put a stroke of white, and as you start to merge those colors together, what do you get? You get something that becomes a little bit more kind of in between. And so even what seems so oppositional, so unlike the other, it offers a certain view. And it's more honing the focus in such a way where instead of looking at this or that, you kind of get more curious about the space between where they meet, and something blends there. It's through this that you're going to take all of those truths that wounded you at one point, truths that you used to justify staying in somewhat of a safe space, more guarded place, a guarded place that really doesn't allow us to enter into that delivery room. And this is what we really need to do right now, is we need to dissolve. We need to dissolve. all the tension. You know, relax the jaw a little bit. Stop clenching those teeth. You know, are you gripping your hands? Like, come on, just shake it out. I mean, you can do this right now. Just shake everything out. They call that a Shakti shake. It stirs up the creative energy. It dislodges all the programming, everything that's in this sort of contracted, embedded state within you. It clears the channels. Ooh, it clears the channels. And as it clears the channels, oh, you know, we find we don't need to hold on to these defenses so much. We don't need to be so adamant about defending our position, you know, because your position is already being, you know, watched over, you know, from above. You're already there. You're not down here anymore. You're not operating within the matrix programming anymore. You're not here competing for a spot. You're not trying to best the other guy. You're not trying to get to the top of Star Mountain first. You get there when it's your time. No, you're hovering. You're hovering. And there is a little bit of this sort of a panned out panoramic view coming in for you, where you're looking back over, it's coming through as the past 13 years. Okay, the past 13 years. Looking over the past 13 years and all the water under the bridge. It's like you're watching the story unfold. It's almost like you're watching the prequel unfold before you get to the main event. Forget the sequel. This isn't about a sequel. We're not doing sequels around here. We're not doing sequels this time. No. There's no position to defend here. There's no claim to stake. It's already there. It's just waiting for your creative potential to be ignited, for that awen, that fire of inspiration to really like light you up and say, okay, I'm ready. Let's get that motor running, okay? So remember this as you're moving through this territory where you start to move into those spaces where you do feel divided, where you normally feel united, where you do move too much into contrast and compare. Get more curious. Get more curious about where lines are blurred. There's more to be seen there than there is in the distraction of the polar opposites. And fantasy is what will set you free. Fantasy is what will set you free. Let me go ahead and get another round of these ARCANE BS cards here. See what the Arcane Oracle wants to convey to us. Do you need to burn the bridge? Is time up? Are you no longer the protagonist in your story? You might need to get another view of that from up above. You see, if you look down on it from above, then you'll definitely know how to get to this top of Star Mountain. It does require you to invoke your wild nature. Where are you going to find the wild nature? You're going to find it where the earth is damp. You're going to find it when the earth is damp after storms blown through. And you smell the moss, and you smell the life in the land. You smell the growth already there. You smell what's needed for the nurturing of the seed. That's where you're going to see it. That's when you enter into a state of communion too. It will elevate your consciousness. It gets you looking at something very differently here. Give us more details about this. Do look for a lot of these experiences to come when you're in the forest, when you're with trees. Trees have very deep roots, but they also have branches that reach high into the heavens. And there's a little bit of this that you're drawing down. Now see, this is something that you can't use the key you've been using up to this point. You got to find a different kind of key to unlock this type of vision. And see, that's what you're on the hunt for. But it turns you on. You're the feral nerd. Something has actually stimulated your consciousness. After day of the same old holy grail, something is making you feel like you're ready to head on down that highway into the danger zone. There's a lot of old school song references coming through, I'm noticing, but it is a bit like that. You may need a montage song at this point. A montage song may come in for you, in fact. You may have that come in as a synchronicity. You keep hearing the same song again and again and again and again. Well, that might be your montage song. What is that song trying to communicate to you? And see, that's how these signs and synchronicities are going to come in. And there's a lot of people that would think that's silly or absurd. And that's like exactly why we need to bring more of that in. And what you find is that really all the magic in the world, it does communicate with us like this. It connects with us like this. Through silliness, playfulness, imagination, fantasy, freedom, not getting locked in any box, not using any sort of framework around how we need to communicate about things, not worrying about all this PC culture stuff that's been so rammed down our throats all these years, like people are sick of it. We just want to be. And where there are points of clashing, we want to look at those things in a different sort of way. We want everybody to have the freedom to be who they truly are, correct? We say we want to be free. Well, that means if we want to be free, the collective wants to be free. And so you have to understand the time of Madame Rufflebonnet is coming to a close. The time of minding P's and Q's is coming to a close. You know, it's time to understand not everybody is going to share the same window in the grid. And that is our God-given right. It is. It is our right. And however you relate to that concept, you know, it really makes no difference because we're all talking about the same thing with different metaphors. And that's the truth. It really is the truth. It doesn't matter the words you use. It's all the same trip, man. And that's the kind of consciousness we're embracing. It is the consciousness of Pluto and Aquarius. It's a whole different vibe, man. But you're going to spot those clues. You're going to see those signs. And it may stir up a little fear within you. But it's the kind of fear that when you measure it against your sense of excitement and enthusiasm, it pales in comparison. Because though there may be a little fear about trusting the signs and heading in this direction, there's something inside of you that knows there is adventure there. There's magic there. All I know is it's something that is awakening me. And that's sure better than sleepwalking. Yes, we're ready to let that go. You know, it is time, man. You gotta shit or get off the pot. That's what it's about. It's time to transform. You can continue to kind of head down the conveyor belt of the current ride. I mean, it's giving you your piece of the pie, or you can embrace an edgier truth that maybe lets you know you don't have to just accept what you need. What if you could really have what you want? We thought about that stuff a lot when we were kids, not so much as adults, it's more about practicalities. Do the responsible thing when you're an adult, right? What about what you want? What do you want? The quantum field is listening. What do you want? It's been waiting for you to turn on your brain power, man. It's been waiting for you to clear what's been clogging the channels of your heart. It's been waiting for that sign of life in you. It's been waiting to really feel that pulse of life running through you. And for you to finally say, no, you know what? Despite everything that's weighing me down, despite everything that would make it so easy just for me to throw in the towel and say, whatever, I'm done. I'm tapping out. The call to rise is too strong. It's too strong. And though I may have my moments where I shed those tears and I say, why me? What have I done to deserve this? Tears also come when you laugh so hard that you have them just streaming down your cheeks. And as soon as you let this shit go and you give a finger to what's kept you grounded for so long, you will truly discover the power that is found within what others would call disorder, chaos. Here comes Eris, hurling the golden apple in the banquet hall. Callisti, let them fight over who's the fairest of them all. You have more brazen things to do. That's how this is coming through, collective. You have far more brazen things to do. You have magic carpet rides to go on, and you may be hovering, okay? You may be hovering this lunar cycle. You're kind of like, where do I want to go? Where do I want to go? I see where I've been. Holy shit. Look at it from this angle. Oh, man. Whew. I'm glad I'm not in that holy grail anymore. Thank God. I'm actually sitting in the ride. I am sitting in the ride. And I'm ready to figure out, what highway do I want to go down? What highway do I want to go down? Space stuff. Space, the final frontier. This is where you've been, right? You've been that wise wizard or that seasoned witch or that elder, the crone, the sage, the one who's felt the march of time. Maybe you are a bit stoic. Maybe you're like Saturn himself, staring into the void. You've looked into deep space. You've been hanging out there for a while. Is it starting to dawn on you that it's actually not an ending, but a new beginning? Look all around you. Are there not diamonds in the void? That's right. Teeming with life. New worlds ready to be impregnated. All they are waiting for is your command. What's your fantasy? Your wish is my command. What do you want? What do you really want? And I mean you. I'm not talking about anything that depends on what Bobby or Sue or Tony or Jill or DeAndre wants to do. I'm talking about what you want to do. Whatever doesn't require that you have any active participation or agreement from anybody else. This is the thing you need to connect with. because this is ready to be fertilized. And it's just one of many different adventures that you're ready to open up to. You remember Mad Libs? You know, you got to fill in the blanks. That's what this energy is like. So there's no limitation. And there can always be an alternate ending to the story at any time. And you're going to have the ability to really call these things in as soon as you align with that part of you with so much ease, so much freedom. It's going to make you wonder why you didn't do it sooner. Why didn't I do this sooner? And see, it's a little bit of the beauty of the resilience of the sea goat coming on through there with Capricorn, you see. Even though the means of expansion is working with that Cancerian energy, you have to remember the signs, the synchronicities are coming through the spirit of the sea goat that's turning that wheel of fortune with 28 degrees Capricorn. You know, sea goat, it don't matter. Land, sea, they're going to get where they need to go. They will find a way. They have the resilience. They have the grit. They have the grind. They have the oil. They got what they need to fuel their fire and to light that lamp that will shine a guiding light on the path ahead, even during the darkest of times. But see, this is the part where the ride gets a whole lot more fun. This is the stretch of the road where it starts to get interesting. So in order to really align with what's going to be of interest to you, you have to start bringing in what you want into view. I'm telling you, for adults, this is more challenging. Adults get very mired down in responsibility, and I should, and I owe this to this person, and I have to take care of this, and I'm mired down by all of these things that I have collected, all of these things that I was told define my kingdom. And what do you know? The kingdom has been within you all along. So this is really what we are aligning with here. Let me go ahead and do a cut of the deck. Ooh, yeah. See? What do you want? Oh, it's too selfish for me to consider what I want. It's too selfish of me to consider what would really like give me my fill, make me feel full of life again. BS, man. It's by you tapping into that part of yourself that can't get enough that actually brings you right into alignment with your path. It's what wakes up the wild thing in you. And from there, you can chart your course. You can be a lone wolf. You can also find your pack. And when you do, there's loyalty there. There's people that are ready to share this experience with you coming in with this new moon. You'll find them where the wild things are. That's where it's at, man. You won't find it where you've been. And the more you kind of like pan out and have a look at that, you're going to recognize it. Where you've been. Look at that differently too. It's not necessarily a geographic location. It's a station you've been holding down within you for who knows how long. Maybe lifetimes. You've been playing this role of martyr, hanging out here when there's all this magic on offer. It's time to use what you've been hanging out on as a way to lay a bridge that gets you over the chasm between what others want and what you truly desire. You owe it to yourself. You actually owe it to others too. You free yourself in such a way, it does the same for others who also feel like they've martyred themselves a bit. And see, that's when we really do experience what it means to love freely, to really just let people be who they are, to not get so heated over inconsequential things that at the end of the day don't really matter. It's like really getting into an embroiled battle over something like, well, you say tomato and I say tomato. So you're going to call the whole thing off? Make it make sense. Or don't. Maybe that's the problem. We've been making too much sense of things. Less sense. Less sense. More fantasy. More imagination. More play. Now, I know this isn't the usual way I go about this, but this is what wanted to come in. So I brought it in like this. And I'm just feeling the energy. But I will get us some signposts and synchronicities, okay? Coming in with some numbers. And of course, with a download like this, I need to pull out the Arcane spirit board to get some message about what we might want to be on the lookout for. So let's go ahead and do that. Ooh, we got double sixes coming in here. All right. Sixth house. The house of work and habits and routines and all of these things that make us feel like we're hanging out in the paddy wagon. It's like, yeah, I'm moving forward, but I'm along for a ride. I don't like where it's taking me. I have no desire to go and find myself in some kind of cell. This is like really seeing the blind spot of something that you've been really toiling at here. You've been really working hard at something here. And then there's a key about the way through that involves you maybe changing course. Yeah, look at that. See, once you view it from above, then you'll understand the right way to bust loose from what's become a little too confining. Look at that. Got double fours there. You see? The 12, the blind spot. It transforms when what wasn't seen before is seen, and then it moves into the Empress energy, the creative potential. The strength is gained to rise above the challenges of the past. The Leo full moon arrives on the scene, and suddenly there's a true activation of power. There's a moment of rooting something different. And then that garden grows. It's a wild garden. It doesn't want to be contained in a flower bed. It doesn't want to be contained in a planter box. It just wants to grow wild and free and take over all the space it wants to take up. And see, that's where the magic's to be found. Got like Aries energy coming in here, strong Virgoan energy, which is just that wizard energy signature. It's the energy of the South Node, and we got 12 hanging out here, right? So that's Pisces, North Node energy. There's this activation point here. We do have to use sort of our fire to blaze a trail here and light up our blind spots and look at some ways that we've been sabotaging ourselves and really understanding what we need to close, what we need to rise above. Then maybe we haven't had the gumption to rise above before in the past, but we do have the strength to do it now. And we're gathering that strength as we move through this lunar cycle leading up to the full moon. Okay? And getting free. That's what this is about. This is getting free. This is rewilding our lives. This is rewilding the spaces in our lives that have become too contained and finding a new sense of freedom. This is communicating in a new way. We got the house of Aries coming through, so it's all about individuation right now, and forget about what this person wants, what that person wants, what society wants from me. What do you want? What do you want? When you start considering wants versus needs, it really shifts something in the consciousness. You'll see what I mean if you create a little space for this. We got Gemini energy coming in here. There's also the 6 energy here, so it does give me the vibe of hanging out there at the crossroads. There's a choice to be made. There's a choice to be made. Do I activate self-knowledge or just go along with the status quo and not question things? It's a choice. We do have the 7th house here. So of course, you know, love is something we're considering too. We're considering our relationships with others, and we're also considering our relationships with those that we view as the nemesis or an oppositional force. And it doesn't have to be a person. It can be a thing that serves as somewhat of a nemesis to us. It can be that thing that we feel is a troll under the bridge, exacting a heavy toll just to cross to get to the other side of some BS. We got the 4th house of Cancer here. It's coming in double too. So we know that where we allow ourselves to dream, it will actually turn out even more amazing than we expect it could be. I mean, Jupiter in Cancer, it makes everything bigger. So that's what you also have to consider. You know what I mean? Because you can limit those blessings of Jupiter retro Cancer. You can. Because if you're focused on the Holy Grail, then you're going to find more grit, grime, and oil. And yeah, some good things may happen, but it's going to be a little tainted by still being on the viewpoint of the undercarriage there, rather than hopping in and going for the ride. All right, we got the 8th house, so we're still in this territory. Scorpio's territory, Pluto and Mars. You know, we're still, you know, getting the last bit of that sludge off of us, and we're redefining what Pluto means with it being in Aquarius now. It's time to get a little different of a perspective about how we can work with this energy. We got real strong Venusian energy out here. Taurus, Libra, you know, what we value. What do we value? It's really important to understand what we value at this time, because that's our PowerPoint of investment. Make sure that you're investing in what you truly value, what has meaning for you. It matters at this point. And total here, we got the number 13. So there's endings, right? There's closure, but there's renewal, there's rebirth on the other side. These are the cycles of life. The wheel turns yet again. And it also breaks down to 4, the Emperor. So we got Emperor, Empress, you know. It's time to really bring these forces together. And then down here we got 11, Justice, or in some decks, Strength. And I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a little bit of both, what's coming through right now. This month is important with this new moon coming in. You'll really see how important it was by the time June rolls around. And that energy is just going to continue to build momentum all the way through the close of 2026. You'll understand what a pivotal new moon this is by the time you arrive there. It's really, really powerful energy. Really powerful energy. You could really be feeling this if you're a life path 1, life path 6, life path 4, life path 5, life path 3, life path 7. Life path 8. I hear Ted tap dancing outside the door. Let me let him in. Come on in, Ted. You want to go on this magic carpet ride, Ted? Yeah, you do? Okay, baby. You can come along for the ride. Okay, let's go ahead and get some letters. Little Arisian spirit board action, just kind of see what kind of signposts and synchronicities might come through. Okay, so names that come through or places that come through might be really signaling to you if it shows up, you know, in your day-to-day reality. That there might be a little fantasy on offer. There might be something you really want to be curious about there. All right, it could be opening up something for you or showing something to you of significance. Let's just see what wants to come through. I see the word fan, and it made me instantly think of fanning the flames of desire, fanning the flames of passion. And I really feel like that's what we're recovering. And it's funny because, you know, you can take that one way or another when it comes to fire, and that's very much the energy of Neptune in Aries, okay? You can use it to fan your passion, your drive, you know, your desires, or, you know, you look at it on the side and we got ire here, okay? You can use it to fan the ire, to, you know, bring more combative situations. So that's something to really consider here. And then it makes me think of this song. It's one of those things, it's a little bit of the Mandela effect, because you'll have some people say the song is called Take a Load Off Annie. And then you'll hear other people say, Take a Load Off Fanny. And in fact, I looked up the song once on YouTube and I found it listed as, I kid you not, Take a Load Off Annie/Fanny. So that's a little bit of that energy, okay? And in that song, you know, I'm going to use Fanny since Fan is here, okay? Take a load off Fanny, but then it says, and put the load right on me. But why does it need to be put on anybody? That's what I'm saying here. There's something about, it's time to drop a load. It is. It's time to drop a load of some BS. And time is ticking, you know? And there's more to life than this, whatever this is. Whatever, you may need, you know, you may need some oil. You may need some KY here to, you know, sort of smooth the ride moving forward there. There's something here about, you know, tapping more into what turns you on. And yes, you know, I am speaking metaphorically here. This is like innuendo. This is the kind of way we're communicating in this cycle. It's the way that, you know, something can kind of capture an essence, but it can speak on many different levels, right? I have the name Rory coming through, and I also have Ray coming through. What is interesting to me in relation to Ray, and it certainly can be someone's name, but a lot's been coming through about working with gamma ray energy, working with the different rays, green coming in specifically. And the color green, we have, you know, a fond association with the color green on this channel, because it's not easy being green, you know. It's not easy being green. It's not easy to be the beginner at something. It's not easy being green. It's not easy being different. It's not easy to feel like you don't fit, to have people not understand you. But the more that you're in situations actually where you allow yourself to be like a fish out of water, the more, ironically, you'll find the flow that carries you where you want to go. So go fish. Okay. I'm also going to bring it in. I mean, I see laid here. I mean, there is a lot of kind of sensual energy that's coming through. And I think it feels sort of like a kind of a hungry energy. And I think the reason why it's coming through as hungry is because people need stimulation of that creative energy, right? And a lot of times, if you're not working with your creative energy, it can turn into that, where you feel like the only way to experience that kind of activation is through another, when actually you hold all that within you, man. You do. All it takes is one experience of, you know, having that uncoiling, that Kundalini activation, and you really realize, like, whoa, I'm able to experience that. Oh, yes. Yes, coming through. So there's been a lot coming through recently about like activation of the light body. And I do feel like there's a lot of this kind of more ethereal communication coming through. Light language, maybe something that's coming through for some of you as well. You might need a way to express something that kind of defies words. This may be the time when you are more drawn to mediums such as art as a form of expression, because I also feel like there's a lot that's going to come through here that you'll have the desire to articulate, but the way you articulate it may have to be in an unconventional way. I got the name Kay coming in. I have the name Dante coming through too. Makes me think of Dante's Inferno. Paradise lost, or is it found? Interesting energy coming through there. I also have the name Nate, Nathaniel, Natalie, and this is another thing that's been coming in, pay dirt. You may have been dealing with the grit, grime, and oil, but you're about to strike pay dirt. And that's where the gold is, man. And it looks like it's coming through some kind of ally. Some kind of ally that you're connecting with here. Whatever this is, because it's interesting. It's coming through in a very unusual way that an ally does not have to be a person. You know? Your ability to fantasize could be your ally. A dream that awakens in you can be your ally. A path of exploration can be your ally. So really, like, think outside of the box. I see Pac here. It makes me think of Pac-Man. This is me too, Pac-Man. It's like discovering different sides of you and other people seeing different sides of you too. And this is where all the growth is. This is where all the transformation is. But what's so important right now is to light up the lies. You know, where have we lied to ourselves? And it really has something to do with what we want. And how's that changed? You know, sometimes we get really set in these frameworks we put around things. We become very overly identified with them. Like, well, this is what I've always wanted. This has always been my dream. And nobody ever talks about that, right? When you really wanted something, this is all I wanted. This is all I ever wanted. And then, you know, you get it and you realize, well, I don't really want that. I want something different. But you kind of keep going through the motions because you're like, well, no, but this is what I really wanted. And so, see, there's a lot of this kind of going down too. Reviewing choices, reviewing things. We got JD here, okay? JD may be reviewing things. You may be reviewing things over, you know, some Jack Daniels. Now, I have to say, you don't need to go that route though. You know? You don't need to numb it out. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. It's like, no, you know, feel all of it right now. Feel all of it. It's so important that you allow yourself to feel again. Allow yourself to feel again. That's what I got. That's what's coming through. It looks like it's going to be quite a ride. I'll see you up there. I'll pass you by on my magic carpet ride. I don't know. Maybe I'll hitch a ride. Maybe you'll hitch a ride on mine. I don't know. Maybe we'll all end up in the same place after all. This may take some of us longer to get there is all. Either way, Godspeed.